Okay, here we go again. We're dozens of failures into this hell trek at this point, and hot on the heels of 2 consecutive Wave 7 failures yesterday and a third Wave 7 failure just a few minutes before this run. Another player requested commentary on one of my vids to go over my approach and explain the ongoing fiasco that is the Salarian Architect's soul-crushing solo odyssey. Request granted. You want commentary? You're gonna get commentary. And yes, I am adding this after the fact, so I do know how the match turns out, but I'll try to restrict my commentary to what was in my head at the moment. For those who are curious, I'm running rank 2 ammo because all my failed runs have exhausted my rank 3 and 4 supplies, and I'm running an assault rifle rail amp instead of a targeting VI booster because I favor center mass shots on trash enemies because I can't aim. I set up here for all non-objective waves. I got this spot from D-Cups. There's a link in the description to his channel. It prevents enemies from spawning on this roof and gives line of sight to the spawn point on the opposite roof. The first move on dropping down is to barricade this rear ledge before moving into the primary defensive position. I want to be able to spend as much time in the primary spot as possible, and the barricade behind me will force enemies to path around rather than dropping down behind me. This will affect the ascendants in later waves also.
My shields are out! Get down! Shields down!
Meet Bob, my Remnant VI. He's wildly helpful to distract the enemies. His damage is insignificant. I'm not trying to get kills with him or anything. His only job is to tie up the enemies and give me time to work or run. This is me fighting the urge to run to the secondary defensive position and remembering that there's no ascendants or observers yet, so it's safe for me to pop back up to the primary defensive position because everything else is starting to path back and around. Normally I wouldn't take this position since it's too open to fire from the corridor and the rooftop to the left, but I've thinned out the enemies enough that I can hold it for a brief while I wait for the Inferno Grenade to end.
Just one left! Under heavy fire!
All enemies clear. Keep it up.
This is the Dragon's Nest above room 8. I set up here for objective waves facing the LZ. This keeps the LZ clear for initial retrieval drop-offs, device spawns, or in case a hack or an upload pops in one of the positions over there.
The enemy's tapping into civilian comm traffic. We need to take out their uplink devices.
Got it! Watch out for the Ascendant!
One device down.
RPG the Ascendant to buy time for the device pickup since I don't have enough time to try and lure it out of the room.
One device down.
And block the doorway to force the enemies I just ran past to path around to the other side of the building.
Watch their fire! Shields down!
My normal circuit takes me around to the right side of LZ, going around building 10 and 37, but I didn't think there would be enough time to reach and pick up the device, so it's time to chance a course correction. And since I'm on the low ground, I'm going to take the high ground to cut across the map to minimize crossfire. Awfully nice of that Saboteur to take some time and get into position before he attacked me. The initial plan was to head up to the secondary defensive position on the roof, but that's a no-go with so many enemies in the way. I hugged the trench and the box because of the anointed that just dropped down behind me as I came around the building. And now I'm running my objective retrieval circuit to train the enemies around the map and get them to come from a specific direction.
Watch out for the Ascendant!
When I do this, I don't stop in the primary defensive position. Having just come from the LZ area, the enemies are coming from the east rather than the south, so they're going to be coming out of the buildings and jumping up from the ledges, so I won't be able to shoot them as they're approaching. So I'm going to continue on to the secondary defensive position, so all the enemies are on one side of the map and I can shoot them as they come across the roof.
Get your head down!
That jump was because I heard an Ascendant fire their orb and assumed it was coming my way, but it looks like they were firing at Bob. Jump back out of reach, then dash back into position. After a grab being so close to the Ascendant, will 9 out of 10 times force them to teleport back and spool up their attack orb. But there's a dog, which is going to mess up my ability to focus on the Ascendant, and I can't ignore it to deal with the dog, so it's time to bug out. Enemies coming down the room 6 corridor are easy pickings, even for someone like me who can't aim for shit. Deal with the smaller enemies first. The Ascendants are easy to manage, at least until they double team you. With only 2 left, I don't need a full retreat to the secondary position, I just need a better angle. So I get Bob back out because they like him so much, and then I make my way up to the roof because there's a lot of open space, which is much more than I need to be able to handle them effectively. Joystick got stuck there for a second. I wasn't just suddenly awestruck by the pattern on the roof.
Reload. We're tracking reinforcements.
Non-objective wave, so it's back to D-Cup's roof position.
Enemies headed your way.
Get away from here! Watch out for the Ascendant!
Barricade rear access and take primary defensive position. Wave 3 has the first Krogan appearance when you're using a Ket enemy. If I get lucky, I'll get a Krogan or 2 coming down the room 6 corridor and they drop fairly quickly with focused fire. But in close quarters, they're mean. Flat cannon and the headbutts are too much for this space frog to handle, and they make me give up ground too quickly. When they're in close, I bug out. Observer above, Destin to the right, enemies in front. Time to get clear. There's a Destin on the ground, so I can't wait to pop back up, and an Ascendant above, so it's not safe. I retreat to the secondary defensive position. My optimal route to the secondary defensive position has me jumping up right there, but since I'm being shot,
I lost
I
my
go
shield.
through the doorway to the other side and climb up from there. Anointed is getting too close, and I didn't want to chance it getting a bead on me while I'm trying to avoid the Ascendant, which usually jumps close for a grab after an orb attack. Incidentally, this is where I'm just realizing that I haven't used a health pack or a revive yet, which is crazy for me, so I'm trying not to freak out.
Shield down!
Flat cannon bad, Ascendant
down.
closing, time to bug out.
Ascendant! Shield down! Take cover!
Too much heat. Observer to the left, so I need to escape line of sight ASAP. So I take the backup route through room 54 to reach the primary defensive position. Ascendant briefly stunned. Deal with smaller shit until the Ascendant closes. Leave Bob behind to run interference.
Watch out for the Ascendant!
With Incinerate down, I'm not going to be able to stun lock the two Anointed that are in point blank range, so they're a concern. Time to avoid. And there's an enemy above, possibly an observer, so I'm taking the alternate route to the primary defensive position.
Take cover! I lost my shields! Send it! Shields down!
This Ascendant is close enough to death that I'm going to try and drop it rather than focusing on the smaller enemies like I would usually do.
Three left. Go get them.
Only one more!
And this is me being too scared to fuck up on the last enemy, so I'm playing way too cautious. But Bob knows how to flank, so look at him go.
Shields down!
Reload. We're tracking reinforcements.
Not bad!
Objective wave, so I go back up to the Dragon's Nest above room 8. Retrievals don't spawn at LZ, but I keep staring there to keep the LZ clear just in case I get a close retrieval for the initial spawn.
Find artifacts and return to the drop point. Marking first location
But it's at
on
the
your
back where all the enemies just popped, so I'm gonna take my time. I head to LZ and then I start my usual counterclockwise retrieval circuit around the map.
I lost my
I
shield!
don't block the door this time because neither of the guys that I just passed were on the ground level. I have time.
Artifact is secure.
Shields down!
Normally I don't drop down here, but since the retrieval is above, I want the enemies to drop down low if possible for added time.
Artifact is secure.
Shields down!
Hang in there, Apex. Got the drop.
That spawn point after a drop-off gets overwhelmed way too quickly, so I'm going to wrap around and take a position on the opposite side of the map in the secondary defensive position on the roof to draw them away.
Take cover!
I place a barricade on the left so I can focus on the right without worrying about something pathing up behind it.
I lost my shields!
Plan was to go straight to the retrieval, but there's an ascendant, so I improvise. Follow current direction and head to the secondary defensive position to start clear.
My shields are out!
Wanted to be able to do more there, but the Ascendant's weak point was blocked by the VI and the wall, and with the Anointed closing in, it's time to bug out.
Fiend!
Didn't see that orb until it was too late and just dashed on impulse.
Just 3 hostiles remaining.
Get that last one!
That hurt them. Be ready.
I'm getting back to my lab.
Enemies headed your way.
Get
Wave
moving!
5 is where my runs typically turn into a shit show. The behemoths are fine, but the blaze hydras are the bane of my existence.
Watch out!
Dance with the
Hydra!
behemoths, run from the blaze hydras. I'm also trying to keep my cool because I'm realizing that after that emergency RPG in round 2, I still haven't used a consumable yet. Well,
I'm reading a
now I
flat
am.
line.
Fucking blaze hydra.
Get your head down!
A lot of enemies closing in. Retreat before the blaze hydra gets too close.
I lost my shields!
Right there, I do always hope that the blaze hydra will try and target me as I take the position. It's a bait. They stop moving to fire, which gives me a little time to kill off other stuff. Hopefully. I normally don't take up a position here if avoidable, but I can be reasonably sure at the moment that most of the enemies are to the south, so I'm unlikely to be attacked from behind. And I hold up here until the enemies get closer. Like that.
Hydra!
Something was below me, maybe a saboteur, so I go through the room and climb up from the other side. Run from the blaze hydra.
Get down! Shields down! Careful of the grenade!
A lot of heat up there, so I bug out.
Hydra!
Anointed to the right, behemoth orb in the defensive position. Time to retreat. the blaze, observer in the way, improvise path to the secondary defensive position.
Watch out! Hydra!
Taking fire, hide,
head down.
wait for a break, and then take position.
I lost my shield!
Imagine how much easier this game would be if I could aim. Observer above the edge of the building, so I take an alternate route to the primary defensive position. Saboteur and an observer laser in the way, so I'm taking the alternate
Take
path
cover.
through room 54.
My shields are out!
Shoot
Hydra!
anything as soon as possible to get health back. Behemoth is down. Listen for roar of respawn. This will indicate whether or not it is safe to finally kill off the Blaze Hydra. No Behemoth respawn. Clear away the trash to get to the Blaze if possible.
I lost my shield!
Fire second RPG to speed it along.
Three more to go.
Get that last one!
Enemies down. Keep your guard up.
Objective wave, so we head back to the Dragon's Nest.
Find artifacts and return to the drop point. Marking first location on your HUD.
Okay!
Artifact is secure.
I'm worried that the enemies are still too close, so I'm going to take my time and do a lap to path them around the map. For retrievals in this direction, I avoid going through room 10. I don't know why, but the amount of times I've been caught while I'm trying to go through there is ridiculous. So I opt for the side path, and then I return to my usual retrieval route.
Got the drop.
Watch their fire!
Worried about the additional enemies on wave 6, I barricade for protection.
My shields are out!
Almost done. Artifact recovered. recovery is complete. Nice job.
Follow the path around through the primary defensive position and onto the secondary, so all the enemies are to the north coming across the roof. Getting stuck against Bob at the moment, which is making me nervous because I'm hanging out of cover. I want that Krogan if possible, but it doesn't look like I'm going to get it. Falling wasn't part of the plan, but there's nothing to be done about it. Proceed to primary defensive position. Enemies are thin enough that I can now take a more direct route.
Three more to go.
Prioritize the sharpshooters so they can't shoot me in the back while I'm dealing with the behemoth. This situation calls for Dragon's Fire. And so does this.
Enemies clear.
Remember, kids,
Stay alert.
every time a sharpshooter dies by RPG, somewhere, a dragon smiles. Begin Wave 7 like any other non-objective wave. Avoid direct conflict, unless it's an observer. Kill those SOBs with extreme
Get yourself to the
prejudice.
LZ.
Side note, I'm still trying not to freak out about my consumable count.
Hydra!
This is properly insane for my runs. Relocate to secondary defensive position.
Watch their fire! My shields are out!
Only killing to keep the position clear to buy more time.
Careful of the grenade!
Passing a destined,
My shields are
use
out.
railing for cover while running. Anointed, hug railing for cover. Hydra, take alternate route through room 54 to primary defensive position. Hydra in the primary position, move on. kill for health, and because they're observers.
Hydra!
Time is short. Begin final route to LZ.
Take cover! Shields down!
Remember, D-Cup said to hold here to draw enemies into room 10. Not really sure why I dropped that barricade in the doorway though. Slow it down, don't get there too early. I'm already too early. Dramatic flashbacks of the Asari Sentinel run where I died on extraction at the buzzer, immediately popping back up but still failing. So I used my very first health pack of this match just for good measure. And now I properly lose my shit. And it's well deserved.